Hello everyone, happy holidays. What winter-themed subject may be of interest for a video? Absolutely amazing argumentation against Heart of Ice. This restored my faith in online internet criticism. Daring, aren't we today? Let's check this out for ourselves and see what it's about. Beforehand, I would like to note that this stream is from 2 years ago, so we can't be certain if everything people are saying on stream or in chat are still agreed on to this day. We all make mistakes, and oftentimes people tend to improve upon them over time. I do know that the meme repository at least doesn't stand by the stream anymore, let alone Heart of Ice being bad. I just know that the main host still believes in the hot take, though not 100% of what is said.
Like, this is the cockpit to the cannon, then this is like the shaft of the cannon, and we have these capsules, which I imagine is...
And then you have the mount, and then the
Yeah.
capsule slash cells, or whatever they're used for.
This is unmistakably some kind of cannon. Yes.
Well, if I was to give them like the absolute benefit of the doubt, and it's probably more than can probably be reasonably inferred, but it could be like you could, for example, that could be like a next generation firefighting instrument, for example, like the next step, like the next stage of the fire hose or something like. I don't think there's enough
futuristic fire hose.
Yeah, well, it could be an ice hose. I don't know, but
I don't think that's how you kill fire.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just.
Well, I mean, you do kill fire by removing heat.
Well, what's funny is, so then how does Batman know that this is a weapon that's capable of generating intense cold, if that's not what this thing's original design is?
I guess some part of it, like the cells. It is a bit weird that it's like, oh, these 4 specific parts can only be used for like one thing, and that's to make a freeze cannon. And I can just mock that up on my computer here.
Those are the stolen objects. I'm telling you, they did 4 different raids, and they stole these objects already assembled.
Yeah, I know.
Which, by the way, again, minor criticism, okay? This is not even scratching the surface of what's wrong with this episode. I'm fine with them trying to simplify the visuals for the kids. I get it, okay?
I really don't understand what's being highlighted here. Yes, this can be turned into an ice weapon, but that's not its original purpose. You need the parts assembled for it to be weaponized. That's the point of the visual. Otherwise, these parts can be left for different purposes that aren't strictly weapons. And how does Batman, the world's greatest detective, piece this together? Well, given that Mr. Freeze literally uses a cold gun, and the components he stole are weaponizable, I don't think it takes the world's greatest detective to figure this one out.
What a smart computer.
I mean, I don't get how it really took a computer to...
So it doesn't take a computer to visualize how the parts can be turned into a weapon, but it also doesn't make sense how the world's greatest detective can piece together that these parts can be turned into a weapon.
Which again is like, so if that's not this thing's intended design, then how does Batman know this? Especially given that this is coming from a company that worked in cryogenics.
Cryogenic tools can be turned into weapons. In fact, any materials can be used for tools, or even tools themselves can be turned into weapons. It'd be like asking how Batman would know that someone with a history of stabbing people is buying a kitchen knife as a personal weapon. It's kind of obvious.
So, like, I'm pretty sure that is what they manufacture, and I'm fine with that. You know, like you're asking, what do they even manufacture? I'm like, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be the kind of thing that Mr. Freeze's freeze gun is made out of, essentially. Like, that'd be a pretty plausible explanation for how he got his freeze gun in the first place, actually.
It's just be strange for, like, hey, we're a weapons company. Like, I don't know. Or some kind of random weapon company is like, we're the company of the people. We manufacture weapons.
I might angle a slight pushback. Like, you might be able to come up with a counter for this, but it just occurred to me. So at the beginning of the episode, we established that there's a bunch of ice-related crimes happening, correct? Like, that was what they were showing.
It's definitely cool.
Yeah, so, and then these specific parts are also stolen around the same time. So Batman being the detective, he's probably going, okay, ice-related crime, and also these parts are stolen. What happens if we put these things together? Like, what would happen if we put these parts that maybe have other purposes together? And he discovers, oh, fuck, you could actually create a giant ice gun if you put these together.
The meme repository explained it very clearly. There's our answer.
There might be issues.
It does seem like just repurposed cryotech that he even made his actual handgun out of.
Yeah.
Well, also what I'm thinking here is, so all that we know is that Mr. Freeze is stealing parts that will make a giant ice cannon. That like he's stealing those parts from GothCorp. That does not necessarily imply that there is a deeper agenda that he has against GothCorp.
Except for the fact that Mr. Freeze keeps stealing from GothCorp specifically, and has the knowledge of where to grab these specific parts ahead of time, as if he worked there regularly. He has exclusive information ahead of time that allows him to carry out these heists.
As far as we know, GothCorp is just the company that has these parts that he needs.
You don't know if these locations have the specific parts needed unless you had exclusive knowledge ahead of time. What? Did Mr. Freeze just guess his way through and get lucky?
His actual target could be anything else. But Batman just makes a really lucky guess that, no, there is something deeper going on with GothCorp and Freeze.
That's not a guess. That's a simple deduction.
I've got 2 sets of notes for this episode because one of them is written by me and one of them is written by Batnik. And Batnik has this note written down here. So, Batman, you know where Freeze will strike next. So, 1, alert the police that you found a pattern in the string of robberies. I believe you're friends with Gordon at this point. 2, have them set up 24-hour security on the GothCorp plant, which will make it easier to catch Freeze. It's like, you know what? I think that's a fair point.
Security is right there when Batman arrives at GothCorp. As for the cops, with how dangerous Mr. Freeze is shown to be, Batman would rather take it upon himself to deal with it, since typical police officers can get themselves killed in a fight with Mr. Freeze and his goons. Batman is also better equipped to pursue him with the extra protection that his Batmobile provides, as well as the additional features that wouldn't be present in regular police cars.
Although, could Freeze probably beat Gotham PD? Probably. So
I think that's more likely to put them in danger than it is to actually solve the problem.
I'm thinking about it. I mean,
Mr. Freeze is pretty dangerous.
Although
again, he doesn't really know Mr. Freeze at this point.
Yeah, Batman doesn't really know what Mr. Freeze is capable of at that point. All he knows is he has a freeze gun. Okay.
Yes, a freeze gun which he can fire while protected by an armored vehicle, which would have likely overpowered the police in his previous GothCorp heists as well.
So, I guess if we are going to work out if this is something, if Batman would call the police or not, we would be dependent on if Batman would risk police lives based upon an unknown power level of an individual.
Well, so he'd have to assume that Mr. Freeze has such a powerful suit of armor, in addition to the freeze gun, which he doesn't know.
Well, he knows he has. Oh, sorry, no, he does. He knows he has the freeze gun, not the armor. Sorry, I misheard you.
Yeah,
but he doesn't know that Freeze would be bulletproof.
He has an armored vehicle. It doesn't even matter if he's wearing strong armor. That's enough to overpower the police compared to Batman in his Batmobile.
Dun, dun.
Batman almost killed these guys.
Oh.
He almost ran them over at top speed.
The clip shows that Batman's headlights didn't reach these 2 guards until his car was much closer, and upon the lights being projected onto the 2 guards, Batman had 2 seconds of runtime to act. You can check the episode for yourself, and he immediately turns away the moment he notices the guards. You may question why Batman is speeding on the road, but the clear answer is that Mr. Freeze is conducting a heist which puts lives at risk, and every second matters, so of course Batman is going to rush in. The
grapple hook coming from the Batmobile and it goes around a lamppost that's frozen. The lamppost doesn't smash immediately, which is what the show seems to portray anything which is frozen as. It just breaks instantly.
That's a good point, honestly, yeah.
Ice blasts can be shot at different intensities. This alone doesn't prove an inconsistency.
Now what's interesting is, are these guys armed? And if they aren't armed, why?
We got company!
I'll handle this. Load those canisters.
Mr. Freeze is putting himself in charge of combat while he has his men rush to transfer the supplies. Their primary purpose isn't combat.
You've got this guard. He's a security guard in this facility that's being attacked. And he's got his gun out. He's taken out his gun. He knows that they're under attack. So, obviously, he should be in a rush. Just get out there. Stop right there. Security. Whatever. And this is what he does instead.
He assesses the situation before just rushing into it, since he's dealing with a guy with a freeze blaster that could kill him. If he rushed in and opened the door, he would have just gotten frozen before he realized. This is actually precautionary.
They just stand at the fucking door.
As opposed to rushing at the guy who could freeze them.
ultimately this is inconsequential, because if they broke through the door, Mr. Freeze would just freeze them.
Almost like that's why he didn't go in immediately.
It's just a little silly that these three guys just simply stand still.
They're shocked and scared by Batman. People can freeze up when they don't know how to deal with one of the strongest and best trained fighters out there.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they just simply have their legs swept, and they are incapacitated somehow.
No, we see that the goons are awake and able to move later in the same scene. They stayed out of the fight because Mr. Freeze is dealing with them, and interfering can get them caught in the blast.
Like you fall. It's like they fell on their asses. Okay, they can get up and swarm Batman now.
Why don't they swarm Batman?
If you think I've been bad news before.
Come on out, lads. It's initiation time. Maybe I didn't make myself clear. If you don't kill him, you don't work for me. So I kill you anyway.
I get the picture.
Mr. Freeze, like he's got some sort of dial on the gun, right? He's been shooting concentrated beams at this point. Then he adjusts it, and now it's like.
Like
It's
a
different.
wide,
Yeah.
wide spread. Oh my good God, he's dead. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead.
Well,
He's dead. He died.
Yeah.
Mr. Freeze changed the setting, as noted. This covers an area of effect rather than being a more direct and compact freeze blast, as it's actively splitting apart instead. Areas of effect can simply result in lower intensities of the ice.
It's like,
Yeah, and
man,
Mr. Freeze, giving his cold nature, doesn't care about his goons.
even though Mr. Freeze, this is Mr. Freeze's fucking fault, and I don't think the show really does a good job at acknowledging that it wasn't Johnny's fault. It was totally Mr. Freeze's fault.
Mr. Freeze, being the bad guy, is obviously going to deflect blame when something is his fault. He's cold-hearted and uncompassionate. I mean, it's in the title, Heart of Ice.
And this just makes Mr. Freeze a dick. Like,
It's called Heart of Ice.
him being
Well, yeah,
cold
he's
to-
characterized just as not caring.
No. There is a difference between Batman dodges and Mr. Freeze hits this guy instead, because he was just standing around where Batman was. And then there's Mr. Freeze aims low at this guy while Batman is swinging high.
Look, maybe he just really doesn't like this goon. Maybe he's made a passing comment
May-
at Nora or something.
Maybe. But we can at least agree that Mr. Freeze, like, basically blaming this dude for something that's totally his fault, that's a little dickish.
What's the title of the episode?
Oh, by the way, regarding the tone of this episode, so far, it's been totally serious.
Freeze!
That's Mr. Freeze to you.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
And, just listen to the music in this section here.
I think I do like the characterization of Mr. Freeze in Batman Beyond. But again, I'd probably have to rewatch that to see if I do have any more criticisms of it. Because
Yeah,
I've
I
probably
remember
watched
being
it with a
satisfying
similar
ending.
lens. I didn't look at it with a critical lens, so it's probably... I don't know, we'll have to see.
So,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make it clear. This is not a campy episode. This is not going for a campy tone.
Taking up video games, are we, sir? With all the compartments on your belt, you'd think there'd be one for tissues.
Thanks. The hot chemical bath did the trick.
You could use a hot bath yourself. You'll need this. Chicken soup. The only way to fight a cold.
The cold eyes of vengeance are upon you, Boyle. Surely you remember your old colleague, Victor Freeze. The advanced circuitry that powers my suit also triples my strength. All who stand in my way must feel the icy touch of death.
Freeze makes the first majorly stupid character decision that allows the plot to progress. He chooses to leave Johnny behind. Now, why is this an issue? Well, ignoring that the show seems to frame this as if it was Johnny's fault for being frozen while standing in the wrong place at the wrong time, when in reality it was absolutely on Freeze. Freeze is basically leaving behind someone who we can safely assume has enough important information about Freeze that leaving him alive for the authorities or Batman to potentially interrogate and then get information out of him, like who he is.
Knowing who this man is doesn't make it easier to stop Mr. Freeze's plan.
Why he's doing this.
Neither does that.
What his next move is.
There's no reason to assume that this random goon that Mr. Freeze sees as disposable would know the next step of Mr. Freeze's plan, outside of the fact that he intends to build a weapon, which is already discoverable by his previous heists.
Or where his hideout is located.
There is no reason to assume this random goon that Mr. Freeze sees as disposable would know his hideout. There's zero evidence in the episode that he has this information. All he was asked to do by this point was to bring items into a truck.
Does Batman interrogate him at all during this episode? I don't think he does.
No, he doesn't.
Will be another criticism.
That is another criticism.
Which is what...
The goon is unconscious by the time Batman has thawed his legs, and immediately afterwards he sends him to the GCPD to be questioned.
After Batman drops our unconscious guest at police headquarters, Bruce Wayne has got a meeting.
Now, there's a person in chat who's trying to push back, and I admire your effort, and I'll respond. He's saying, do they say how much the guy knows? So, what we can assume is that this guy who is in this van with Mr. Freeze and Mr. Freeze's other henchmen and is putting parts in the van that they are presumably carrying to Mr. Freeze's hideout where they're assembling this weapon, he knows where Mr. Freeze's hideout is.
Using the same getaway vehicle doesn't automatically mean you know where Mr. Freeze's hideout is ahead of time or have any exclusive information about his plans. Mr. Freeze would have simply picked them up at a meeting spot away from his base, while already having communicated that he wants to load certain materials onto his truck. You don't need to tell them where your base is ahead of time to communicate this, and he wouldn't because there's a risk of them being caught during the heist. That's basic intelligence.
They should have a scene. They should just have a scene where the guy just says he's got nothing. That makes even more issues.
How?
Like, there's no way he doesn't know.
Why?
How would this guy not have any valuable information to offer the police or Batman?
Because he's disposable for the time being. His only purpose right now is to load materials onto a truck. You don't need to know Mr. Freeze's secret plans or locations ahead of time to carry this out, so obviously he wouldn't tell his goons until they've escaped. That's like saying these clowns in The Dark Knight would know Joker's secret plans or locations, and there's no way that they wouldn't. You don't need damning information to carry out a simple heist. That's all that was initially communicated.
I don't believe it. He is working for Mr. Freeze.
Working for someone doesn't mean you have damning information on them.
Which would possibly make it work better is if Batman does try to interrogate. It's like, no, I don't know anything, blah, 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 blah. That way it would establish that Mr. Freeze actually didn't have anything to worry about with, leaving this guy behind, because there would be no information to give up.
So then the question is like, okay, so these guys don't even know where the warehouse is, then, like, Mr. Freeze has these guys load these materials in his van, and they aren't even a part of his main crew?
Loading materials into a van isn't the special task that gives you privileged information. Mr. Freeze is capable of withholding information from them for obvious safety reasons.
Presumably they will have to transport the materials back to the warehouse. So, no, I don't think that's reasonable to just charitably infer that this guy doesn't have information to offer anyways.
Mr. Freeze can withhold the location of the warehouse until after they've loaded everything and are on their way to escape. Why would we ever assume he told them before they started the mission where they could get caught alive by the cops or Batman? Obviously, a smart villain would withhold this until it's no longer a threat for his goons to know this.
I think it's reasonable to assume that this guy would have something to offer the police or Batman, and neither the police nor Batman even try.
After Batman drops our unconscious guest at police headquarters.
This next line is where things start to break apart a little bit.
There's only one man who'd hate Gothcorp that much, if he were alive.
So, if Boyle thinks that he's dead, and this is someone that he thinks died in an incident that he covered up, why is he even talking about him as if he is a potential suspect?
He's dead. Why would Bruce assume a dead man is a suspect from Boyle's perspective? Also, the episode shows that this incident was in the news. Everything Boyle is saying is already based on publicly available information. This doesn't damn him.
When Ferris mentioned that explosion, I remembered this headline from last year.
Also, Freeze says there's only one man.
Just playing devil's advocate again. It's like there's only one man I could think of that's had a problem with the company, but he's dead.
Okay, so then.
So that's more like, so he's saying, oh well, the only suspect of the situation that I can think of off the top of my head, isn't living anymore.
Right, which is interesting. So there's only one suspect that he's crossed?
What other lives did Boyle destroy? Boyle would want to maintain his image and avoid any potential problems, so getting to a point where he literally destroys lives would be a rarity for him. It's not just about crossing someone, it's about bringing someone to a point of literally becoming a supervillain trying to destroy his legacy. You can have competitors or ex-employees, as Bruce suggests is possible, that don't reach that level of vengefulness or resentment. There's only one that could get to that point from Boyle's perspective, but he's literally dead as far as he believes.
That's a bit more suspicious, considering that how much he has a lot of fake humanitarian.
Yeah, he's not
views.
supposed to be like an actual humanitarian, but somehow Freeze is the only person in the whole company that he's crossed.
Just because only one person comes to mind that would literally try to destroy his legacy, doesn't mean he hasn't crossed other people before, and to maintain his image, he would keep the number of people he has crossed as low as possible, and this only happened because Victor used his resources unauthorized. This isn't something that commonly occurs for him. Most of his workers do their jobs as they should.
What was he doing?
Wasting company money. My money.
Which again, like, this is... He has a totally sensible answer that he could give. He just says, wasting.
So he just goes,
company
my money.
My money, yeah.
Because Victor, in his eyes, wasted his money with an unauthorized experiment, money which could have been used to save other people's lives since cryogenics has applications in the medical field.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Great PR, but when the wage slaves start acting like they own the place, it's time to
You guys see what I mean?
I really don't.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's cartoonish.
Fucking, and people are gonna go, it's a cartoon though.
It is a cartoon.
Of course the fucking cartoon villain, the cartoon of the cartoon. But like, man, this show is capable of being way more subtle than this. And when you've got this guy just suddenly completely drop this facade of being this people company guy. He's a philanthropist.
Because of Boyle's connection with Bruce and them being amongst the rich and the powerful, Boyle is cocky enough to believe that Bruce would actually understand what he means by this, which would make sense considering the billionaire playboy persona he puts on to avoid suspicion of him being Batman. I mean, Bruce literally says that his humanitarian award was well-deserved.
Congratulations on your award. I'm sure it's well-deserved.
Not to mention that if Bruce were to speak up on this, it would go nowhere. Bruce has no proof. Boyle could easily spin it to make Bruce look bad by claiming he's lying about GothCorp to overpower his competitor, and Bruce would be hit with a defamation suit that he would lose. And even if Bruce could successfully make Boyle look bad, let's not act like we haven't heard any cases of rich guys saying some damning stuff in private, where they thought it wouldn't get them into any trouble.
Moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it. Whoa. I did try and fuck her. She was married. That's huge news, Sarah. I took her off furniture. I moved on her like a bitch. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything.
Again, the fact that you have this corrupt businessman unironically refer to his employees as wage slaves. The most hilarious strawman caricature of an evil capitalist that I've ever seen.
The system needs slaves. None of this works without wages, without brokies. You think you're smart? I bought this coin and it's going up. You could have bought any fucking coin and it went up in the last year. The Matrix was broken. I put a bunch of videos out. I said the Matrix is broken, there's a hole in the Matrix, capitalize. But you didn't even capitalize, you didn't listen to me. You put your meager wages in, and it went up a little bit, and you thought, I don't have to work anymore. Yes, you fucking do. Someone has to cook the fries, dumbass. And the Fed has come along, and the Fed is like, we need the wages back in their place. No more of this stonks only go up crap. No more of this crypto shit. Let's destroy all of it. Let's depeg this currency. Let's crash the NASDAQ. Let's make inflation go to the fucking roof. Put the wages back where they belong. It's 9 a.m. You better clock the fuck in.
You're a slave if you have a job at anything. Some slaves are better paid than others, but most people are slaves.
If the people in charge of the world can print unlimited amounts of said thing, and you'll give up your life for certain amounts of said thing,
then they own you. They control you. Oh, you need $100 to do this. Print. Off you go, slave. It doesn't matter. It's not real. So who cares?
And there's only one of 3 reasons that anyone on this planet would ever be poor. You're either lazy, you are arrogant, or you're stupid. Now, we'll start with lazy. Most of you are lazy. In fact, I'd say basically all of you are lazy. You don't understand what work is. You don't understand what work ethic is. You don't understand the ethos of conquer Earth. You don't have fire blood. You don't wake up to go piss at 3:32 a.m. and go, I'm not going back to sleep because I want to make some fucking money. So you're all lazy. You're all arrogant. Because when I sit here as the richest person who's ever fucking wasted his time talking to your fucking dumbass and tells you what to do, you don't fucking listen to me. Oh, well, Tate, you know, maybe he's wrong about you're broke. How can I be wrong when you're in the poor category and I'm in the rich category? I obviously know something you fucking don't, you arrogant dickhead. And the third and least common category is stupid. Most of you are not too stupid to become rich. I could show you how to do it. All you have to stop doing is being arrogant and lazy. So if you sit here and go, well, I'm none of those 3 things, yes, you fucking are, because you're not living the life I live. You are a brokey. If you were none of those 3 things, you'd be here with me in this room, wouldn't you? But you're not, because you are a fucking peon. So, look at your bank balance.
Why do you say that birds? Are the accusations realistic?
The Matrix has attacked me.
And to defend this on the basis that it's a cartoon ignores the fact that this fucking show is pitched by everyone as more than just your typical Saturday morning cartoon.
You can have cartoony elements, but also push beyond what other cartoons have tried.
This is insane. There's no subtext to this whatsoever. It's a sledgehammer to your face. This is political pandering bullshit. Okay? I want fucking people that complain about the political pandering in Batwoman to complain about this too. This is bad. Alright? This is shit, 2-dimensional, straw man, political caricature.
Fucking pronouns! Then, with all of that laid out in front of me, I love nothing more than to be dragged out at every fucking conceivable opportunity so you can fucking current day us! Fucking gender ambiguity! Fucking current day Californian shit! Because that's all we fucking know! Because we're boring! We're so fucking boring!
If someone walks in on him in this room in a security guard uniform, it's like, oh, you're a security guard. Like this is, you know, kind of where you belong, I guess. You're in a classified files room? Sure. Batman, though, in his bat suit, really risky for if someone walks in.
Yeah, and it takes time to get dressed into the bat suit.
There is only one security guard in charge of securing this area. Bruce tells the one security guard around here to enjoy himself at the party, and he does. This implies that Bruce was clearing up the presence of security guards in this area in order to pull this off.
He's in the building. He could easily just go up and have his revenge right now, but he just decides to go after Batman for some bizarre reason.
Mr. Freeze isn't in the room to find Batman. He's in the room to find the files that Boyle could have saved.
And he finds this
Why do they have files on Nora?
Because it would include research and studies from Vector that would be useful to save for any future projects.
Why do they have this tape? Why did they keep this tape?
Because it would be largely suspicious if Boyle was ever asked to turn over the camera footage in whichever GothCorp building Victor was in, and there was no footage whatsoever. Furthermore, keeping this footage gives them the leeway to manipulate it in a way where it conceals any wrongdoings on their end, if they ever were asked to turn it over. And it's super important to have a full account of what really happened, because this allows Boyle to avoid any holes in his cover story that would otherwise be noticed if details didn't align. and this is kept in a secure building where cameras would be frequently watching. He didn't just keep his secret files in a place where anybody can just access them. I don't think it's reasonable to claim that a criminal shouldn't have any secret files on them that would be damning if it's reasonably secured. Also, can we look at what Boyle even does? He orders a project to be shut down after already having misused his resources and money, a misuse which could be argued to have interrupted the health treatment of other individuals, then defends himself after being held at gunpoint. It doesn't even look that bad if slight tweaking is done, or if Boyle lies about his intentions in shutting down the project, and it's not even incriminating to shut it down. Boyle explicitly says this.
I have every legal right to use it or not use it as I see fit.
How do you keep the project going if the funding has been cut? It's not like he can just keep using the money. It's like
and this has been going on for weeks. It's been going on for weeks.
So that just means Victor used whatever money and resources he had to pursue this project, likely even misusing materials and equipment to do this.
The guard was behind Victor, and now he's teleported over here.
Or he just moved, as people are capable of doing off-screen.
Fucking numerous things that are wrong, all happening at once, and this show does not give you any time to think about any of it. So, you know how I made a big fucking point of Doc Ock not being able to blend in Spider-Man 2? Well, guess what? Doc Ock at least doesn't rely on a suit that keeps him cold. He can at least wear a coat and then like hide his tentacles underneath in one scene. He has that going for him at least. What does Mr. Freeze have?
He has hired goons that would help him bypass security. He's done it before on his own too.
Mr. Freeze waltzes into GothCorp. He then makes his way over to the security room. No one notices.
We don't actually know that nobody notices. For all we know, they were frozen before realizing it was too late.
By the way, there is a gala that Boyle is
There's
getting
no
his
door attached to that doorway.
I don't think I have a problem
No,
with
there
Mr.
is.
Freeze getting into the building. Like, he's pretty adept at dealing with security guards, and obviously he's pretty tough with the suit. It's more that he does this without alarming any kind of security, like almost like he just appears there.
We don't know that nobody was alerted. We don't see the other parts of the building. And we literally see a cutaway after Batman is frozen. We don't see what happens afterwards.
Why has he been stealing the parts to this giant ice cannon in the first place?
Yeah.
He's doing it to seal the building, right? But what I'm seeing here is, oh, if he can just enter the building and presumably get up to where Boyle is with no problem, because who the fuck's gonna stop Mr. Freeze? Just do it now.
Freezing the entire building gives him more control over the situation. Rushing into the building when people could evacuate or cops could enter easier gives him less freedom. It ensures that he has a lot of hostages and provides him with more time to actively confront Boyle. Boyle has literally nowhere to run if he seals up the building. It's insurance that his plan works.
They don't even use the fucking cannon for anything more than walling off the area.
Yes, but that doesn't even have to happen.
There are so many other ways they could have... I think he could even seal the building with his normal handgun.
That would take ages and buy the hostages so much time that the plan becomes pointless.
Did Batman leave the door open behind him, the one that opens with the key card, or did Mr. Freeze freeze the door and then blast his way open?
Well, I guess he just has to leave the... Well, we have to assume he left the door open, because if he broke the door open, then it would be a lot more noticeable and noisy, yeah.
So you're telling me that Batman enters a top secret area that he's not supposed to be in, and he just leaves the door open behind him?
In an area he made sure to clear before investigating, yes. And even if someone did show up out of nowhere or was nearby, if the door is left open, he can hear someone coming from a good 10 to 15 feet away, hide, then use the suspiciously open door as a means of baiting someone into it, allowing him to silently take them out. You have that advantage as opposed to closing the door, only to open it later, not knowing what's going to be on the other side.
So he just froze Batman? Batman's dead. It's over. He has no reason to keep him alive.
Batman has an important piece of evidence on him that happens to harm the reputation of the guy that Mr. Freeze wants revenge on. Not only is Batman of interest for him to speak to about this, but Mr. Freeze would want to control this blast carefully, since he doesn't want the evidence damaged either. And Mr. Freeze isn't going to kill Batman needlessly. His motivation is to get back at Boyle, not to kill Batman. He will kill Batman if it benefits his plan, but it doesn't. And Batman is of interest for him to at least interact with, given the similar interest in going after Boyle.
Yeah,
and he doesn't take off his mask.
Doesn't take off his mask.
Why would Mr. Freeze care about Batman's identity? How does this benefit his plan?
Takes off his utility belt at least, but then brings the utility belt with him so that Batman can fucking pick it up and then put it back on.
His utility belt has security measures that would make it difficult to unlock and has a tape of evidence against Boyle.
Like, why not destroy the utility belt? Why not wear the utility belt around you, Freeze?
Why would he destroy the belt containing evidence he wants to use? And why would he believe he needs to wear the utility belt when he already has Batman restrained back at one of his hideouts? From his perspective, Batman can't break out. It takes an exceptional level of strength to do so, especially under sub-zero temperatures.
No. Ice. He doesn't freeze his arms. He gives him a pair of
wrists.
Ice handcuffs. Ice handcuffs, not regular handcuffs made of something like metal.
This is the same ice gun that is capable of breaking down concrete or metal doors. And ice in general gets harder the colder it gets, so you can imagine how strong it would become at sub-zero temperatures.
I don't understand why his lair is so close to the Goth Corp building.
I know!
Next door. It is literally the next building.
So that there's less distance to travel once they actually release their freeze cannon.
So let's just say Mr. Freeze doesn't give a shit about Batman's identity. He's just so he's got no interest in taking off the cowl. Wouldn't the henchmen be at least a little bit curious? I
do not believe that out of the three of them, none of them would be curious.
Not everyone cares about Batman's identity, and Mr. Freeze didn't even ask them to unmask him. For all they know, this could interrupt what Mr. Freeze wants to do with Batman afterwards, risking their lack of pay for the job. And on top of this, they don't even have time. Mr. Freeze immediately tells them to go so they can set up the cannon.
Let's go.
To go back and unmask Batman would be to violate his orders.
I think ice handcuffs, ice is pretty hard to break, really. I suppose depending on how...
Not harder than steel.
That's an appeal to reality at best, which is unwise when we're dealing with a gun that can shoot ice at different intensities. Steel is known for getting more brittle and easy to break at lower temperatures too, so if you want to appeal to reality, it's best to look into what happens when steel is exposed to lower temperatures.
In the water stream, and it launches him up in the air.
Somehow the water is not already frozen?
No.
Because he didn't shoot the freeze gun at it?
If you do this, it's just gonna freeze your hands to the fucking water hydrant.
His hands aren't shooting the ice, the gun is.
When Freeze froze Batman, did Batman have time to take out the tape and put it in his utility belt?
Batman had around 6 seconds between noticing Freeze and being shot at, time which he could have easily spent securing the tape so that it isn't lost in battle.
This is funny, because he's gonna throw Batman here.
Yes, he's going to throw the enemy he's currently fighting.
Which is just the standard. Remember in Terminator Salvation when we thought that Terminator's throwing John Connor around was dumb? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say
kind of funny. I don't know. Mr. Freeze, it seems like he could have done something besides that.
Mr. Freeze intends to rub it in his face that he's winning this fight. He's getting caught up in the moment of his success that his pride is causing him to gloat about it to his enemies.
The advanced circuitry that powers my suit also triples my strength.
And he doesn't think that Batman can take him out in an actual fight. Batman never actually physically overpowered him.
We get the creme de la creme. The moment that humiliates Mr. Freeze, butchers this the tone of this scene, and also introduces a tentacle blade for every Batman the Animated Series episode with Mr. Freeze after this one. It's funny, they played a glass shattering sound, but the glass hadn't shattered.
It's literally in the process of doing that, due to both the slamming of the thermos and the hot liquid breaking through.
It's so stupid. It's so fucking lame.
Since it was brought up as a point, I'd like to bring up that there's a reason you're not supposed to thaw your car windshield with hot water. Rapid temperature changes risks glass being cracked, and that's exactly what happens in this episode.
Looks like he's in agony right now, right? He can't even stand on his feet. Holy shit. So, he's dying. He's dying.
Boiling in his own skin.
He's dying.
Mr. Freeze is in the coldest place in Gotham right now. Batman had to smash the thermos on his helmet out of self-defense. This does not go against Batman's rule against killing, as this point implies.
He's dying. You fucking psychopath.
What exactly should Batman do? He's awaiting medical teams and the police that would be equipped to handle this, and he kept him in the coldest area in Gotham. Well, that was something. Time for a break from response videos.